The big thing is being everywhere is only complicated or is only overwhelming if you make it so.
Yeah.
There are tools that'll put you everywhere. And this is one of the things I love about podcasting. You put your podcast up once and it's everywhere.
Hey everyone, thanks for joining us today. It's Melanie Johnson for another great podcast. I am so excited. I have the man who taught me how to podcast on our podcast today. And not only did he teach me how to podcast, he taught me a whole lot of other things. He is like a guru in not just the podcasting space, but in YouTube and helping companies grow to make millions and millions of dollars. He just has a unique take on the website, on YouTube, creating content. He has done it all. He started way back in the early 2000s doing all of these things. So he was way, way ahead of the curve. Paul
So you're saying I'm
Colligan.
old. You're
Yeah,
saying I'm old.
yeah.
Yeah.
Welcome to the show. Thanks for coming today.
Thanks for having me.
Tell us a little bit about your background. I gave just a tiny bit, but tell us a little bit about your journey to get into all this content creation and things that were going on in the internet.
My unique ability has always been simply that I'm bilingual. I speak nerd and I speak business. And people who can translate between the nerds and the business are always going to do well. And so I found myself in a really unique place. With the internet back out on my bookshelf, which you can't see past my fancy black
Yeah.
thing out here, but I got a book called The Beginner's Guide to the Internet that I got in 1993. Kids Ask Your Parents. That actually has 2 paragraphs about the coming World Wide Web. That's how long I've been doing this.
Wow.
And so I've always seen the technology in terms of what it means to the little guy, little
Yeah.
gal, little business, and how it all works together. In the year
Yeah.
2000, dumb luck, I had dinner with the CEO of Audible. A whole nother story in and of itself. But he gave me the vision for Audible, which at the time was the only one doing it. At the time, it was $500,000 to get in, something I couldn't afford. And I left inspired and frustrated at the same time.
Yeah.
Podcasting pops up 4 years later. I'm like, this is how I play Audible. When Front Page popped up, this is how I play Web Designer. When One
Mm.
Shopping popped up, this is how I play Online Retailer. So it was what all these tools let me do. That's the familiarity through all of this. Mike Koenig's a good buddy of mine. Some of you listening will know him, some won't. Mike describes me and himself as frustrated performers. And we like going on, putting on a shirt, talking to a friend, producing content that way is great. So that's what I've done. So it's always been, what does the tech mean in terms of how the person
Yeah.
can use it to get their message out?
There's so much new tech now. AI is just blowing my mind every day. I feel like I'm having brain explosion of where do I start first? What should I do? What should I focus on? Back in the day when we would come to your conferences, it was like you everywhere now, right? Be on every platform, do everything. And actually when Jen and I started our business, Jen Foster, who, I don't know if we've been doing publishing for 10 years now.
Yeah.
And when we bootstrapped that whole thing together on a whim, the first thing we did is, we have to have a podcast. We have to have a YouTube channel. We've got to have internet presence. And so do you still think like you need to be everywhere? And what tools should we be using?
Well,
2 big, broad questions. Sorry about that.
and I'm going to answer them even broadlier. Broadlier, is that a term?
Yeah.
This is why you hire an editor.
Yeah.
Why wouldn't you be everywhere?
Should you just like target on if people are overwhelmed? Should they focus on just the platforms that they feel their audience is on?
Right.
Or should they
the
still
thing
go
is,
on every platform?
I'll give you a funny example that dates back to as far back as we knew each other.
Yeah.
There was a platform called. There's a platform called. Oh my goodness! It was a video platform that distributed stuff. Oh my goodness!
Oh, I think I know what you're talking about. And then it went upside down. Like everyone
My
jumped on
Koenig's
it.
thing. Anyway, I could click a button and it would publish my videos to all the platforms.
Yeah.
And one of those platforms was stupidvideos.com. And I could have said, my videos aren't stupid. I'm not publishing to stupidvideos.com. But when the product said, do you want to publish to stupidvideos.com? I said, sure, why not? Click.
Yeah.
And what was funny was, about a year into it, I had 20 people who were listening to my videos or who were watching my videos on stupidvideos.com. Now, I could be all, my videos aren't stupid and this is stupid. And I'm like, or they're there.
Yeah.
So the big thing is, being everywhere is only complicated or is only overwhelming if you make it so.
Yeah.
There are tools that'll put you everywhere. And this is one of the things I love about podcasting. You put your podcast up once and it's everywhere. And
Yeah.
whether or not this obscure German platform for metalheads has your podcast or not, it's no additional work for you. So should you be everywhere? Yes, if you can automate the process.
Yeah, and like to your point, so 20 people saw you on 20 on the stupid videos, but one of those or five of those people or 10 of those people could be ideal clients that want to work with you that generate money. Only
Right.
takes what would you pay for 20 new leads or 20 new
Exactly.
fans
And
when
I
you think
just got
about that?
back from podcast movement, and it's funny, podcasters, again, I speak nerd. I love nerds. One of the things nerds love to do is they love to debate.
Yeah.
And everybody was like, is it really a podcast if it's on YouTube? Don't care. Really don't care.
Yeah.
YouTube reaches a good percentage of the planet every stinking day, and it's free for me to put my stuff up. Therefore, guess what? I'm going to put my stuff on YouTube.
Yeah.
And I'm going to automate the process and make it easy. So you want to be everywhere as long as the process is automated. If you're getting up every morning and submitting here, we don't do it. For
Yeah.
our clients, one of the things we do in the sales process is we do a thing called, ready for this? It's called the deliverables list. And it's a list of things that are you ready for this? We'll
Yeah.
deliver. And one of the things we'll say is we'll put your podcast on all these places, automated. And then there's a second part. These are the places that it's going to take a little bit of human work.
Yeah.
And in some cases, it makes sense. In some cases, no, we're not going to put it here because it's not worth the time for you. But man, everywhere you can be automated, definitely go.
Yeah, I agree with that. And two questions. One is a personal question. We're recording this on Squadcast right now, and we've been having difficulty with audio delay. Like you might see that I'm delayed a little bit. And we thought, oh, we'll fix that in post, but it's not always getting fixed. Then we tried Riverside, and that wasn't because we do all our editing in Descript because we want it so we didn't have to download and upload. What are your favorite platforms to record on? And do they connect with Descript for editing, or you like something else for editing?
Go back one step. Video over the internet is a miracle. The fact that you and I are chatting with each other is mind blowing.
True.
And so as a result, and the internet was never built for this, was never designed for this. So the fact that it works at all is a bloody miracle. Pick one, have a backup. We like Riverside with Squadcast as backup.
Okay. But now Riverside does it talk to Descript and download directly to Descript or no?
You can automate you can go from Riverside to Dropbox, and then you can import into Descript from Dropbox.
Yeah,
Or you can
longer.
offshore that part where somebody brings it. No, there's not automatic, but there've been enough hiccups. And it's been a while. We tend to go with something until something works, and then when it breaks, we find something else that works, even though the other thing might have fixed itself or whatnot. Squadcast is owned by Descript. They bought them, so if there's ever an issue, and they're a great company. Descript is a great company. So if you're having issues, you might even want to bring it up to them and let them know.
Yeah.
But favorite tech are those two. Now, there are people who can't get past anything other than Zoom.
Yeah.
So record on Zoom. It's not ideal, but I'll tell you what's really not ideal is not recording that person. And Descript works great with Zoom now. So Zoom is the big backup. So we go Riverside for the best video. We go Descript as the backup, and then we go Zoom if the person can't get past that.
Yeah, we were finding with Zoom the compression or the video quality wasn't as good. It was a little grainier, but maybe they fixed that now. Would be great.
It's third, but it's better than nothing.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. What are your favorite AI tools this day? Because tomorrow it'll change, but what's today?
See, that's a question that's a bit of the bane of my existence because I think it's the wrong question.
Yeah.
If you were to interview an author, how many times have you asked them what keyboard did they use to write their book?
Ah, true. It's all different depending on the author.
How many times? Exactly. How many times have you asked them what word processing thing they use to check their typos with?
Yep.
AI is going to be very quickly like electricity and water. So pay for it, it's going to flow through. And so it's not what's your favorite AI tool, it's what do you want to do with AI?
Ah.
And then maybe the secondary is what's the best tool for that process.
So what do you like doing with AI?
Everything I possibly can. Internally to the company, I've got 4 main employees, like technically, legally, some of them are contractors or whatnot, but so I have 4 employees. And we now have an org chart where all the things that they used to do are now subset as AI titles. So my project manager has, one of the things she used to do was she used to get the video from Descript, used to get the video from Riverside and make sure that it was ready for the editor to edit. Video prep.
Yeah.
So we have a video prep AI bot now that takes the video,
Amazing.
puts it into script, gets it transcribed, outputs it to Premiere that our editor edits in and puts it in his Dropbox. So when our editor gets up in the morning, the thing is in Dropbox.
Nice.
And so we batched together a bunch of tools to make that happen. And you're going to ask me, what tools do we batch together? I'm going to say, I don't know because I'm not the programmer.
Yeah.
But the whole process, the whole question is, what do you want the AI to do? Can the AI do it? B. If so, what's the shortest path to make that happen? C.
Yeah.
And so we tend to do everything with the API access because ChatGPT typing in things, I'm just not excited about, hey, make me a poem in the style of Eminem about kitties. That doesn't build my company. But if I can have an AI that writes 80% of the show, let me tell you one we've got. This one's really cool.
Yeah.
Client with 550 episodes of a show. 550 episodes. Wow. Been doing it for over 10 years. Okay? His titles and his descriptions were not that good. They were largely inside baseball for his existing audience. And the thing was, his existing audience didn't need the titles and descriptions and the show notes because his existing audience was already there. So we built an AI engine that took the old title and description, transcribed the show, rewrote show notes, combined the two, gave the person basically a 90% version of the show notes. The person then edits the title and the description from the 90%, which is a lot faster.
Yeah.
Clicks a button, and then two things happen. A, the episode gets rewritten. They don't have to go to Libsyn. They don't have to click episode and click title and click edit and click save.
Yeah.
The bot does this. But then it learns from their back episodes what they want. So they do 10, it learns their style a little bit more. They do 20, it learns their style a little bit more. Now they're at 500. It really knows their style really well. And so that's the thing. What do you need? Can AI do it? How do you build it?
I like that philosophy so much better because that's a whole shift in mindset where even right now I'm like doing one application at a time and creating things in different applications instead of making, like they call it, an agent or multi applications tied together. So one goes right to the other, goes to the other, and finding out what is that.
Let me give you a simple one that nobody's talking about that blows my freaking mind.
Yeah.
If you have a recent version of the Apple infrastructure, okay? If you attach an audio note, an audio file to a note, Apple will transcribe it in the background.
Okay.
So a lot of people will say things like, I load up Otter, and then I make the other person load up Otter, then we call the phone number, then I download the file, then I send it to Otter, and then Otter does the transcript, and then I take the transcript and I cut and paste it into the note, and then I sync the note with my database. We record audio files directly into notes.
And it's transcribing it. So you're getting the audio file and the transcription at the same time?
Yes. And with the new Apple stuff, it'll even transcribe a phone call.
Wow.
So you call me, I click a button, it puts it in a note, and automatically transcribes it. And these 18 steps that the nerds are taking are gone, are differentiated. So what do we want? We want notes. What's the shortest steps between here and there?
Yeah.
Make it part of our infrastructure. You know, and the question is, what if I'm on Windows? The answer is get off. Like systems that make your life harder that you pay for, that's bad. That's bad. Pay for systems to make your life easier.
Yeah. So think about what are systems that you've gotten rid of recently in the last, I don't know, 3 or 4 months that you've now.
I don't pay for. Great question. What do we need transcribed? I'm not sending anywhere else. We're just doing write notes.
Okay.
So that completely went away. Show note writing by AI, we are now using a system called Taja, TAJA.ai. Does a really low level, really fast show note kind of situation for YouTube, actually. And that's our quick lower level AI type of thing because it'll sync right up. Like you put the video at YouTube, 5 minutes later, you got notes. And so those are two. I'm not running 8 programs to get a transcript. I'm not running 8 programs to get low level show notes. It's one program. And by the way, it's the program I'm using anyway.
Wow. So it's making your life so much simpler, so much easier. And then what are you tapped into to find new technology or new AI that you can use? Are you listening to something, reading something?
This is part of my job. It's funny. When I was in high school, I remember thinking to myself, what do I want to be when I grow up? And I remember thinking, I don't want to be a doctor because doctors have to read those medical journals once a
Yeah.
month to find out what's new in medicine.
Yeah.
And I literally probably spend about 20 hours a week keeping up to date with what's going on. And it's going so fast. It's really the
Yeah.
only way that it can work it. And so part of it is I spend a good chunk of my week. I go to conferences, I go to events, I learn this stuff. And then I have to go to my team and I got to go say,
Yeah.
let's investigate this. Let's use this. Let's use this.
Yeah.
But what's fun is my programmers don't even have that capacity. So I'll go to a programmer and say, let's do this with this. And they'll say, can we do that? And I'll say, why can't we? And then we'll find out that answer really quickly. Right now, as we're doing this, I'm getting texts are coming in. I've turned off the mute so it doesn't beep. My programmer, we're building this whole virtual you kind of infrastructure. And so right now at LinkedIn, there's a lot of videos from Virtual Paul.
I want to talk to you about that. I saw the virtual Paul. I was telling Jen, I go, there's virtual Paul. She goes, he says he's virtual? And I go, yeah, he just calls it right out. You're not guessing. Do you think this is really Paul or is it virtual? He's just saying, this is virtual Paul. I have not seen anybody do that.
Yeah, it's the people who are using AI and pretending it's human is just dumb.
Yeah.
And so if you use AI to say something stupid and you pretend it was you, that was dumb. If you use AI to say something virtual as an AI you and it's dumb, you can just go AI is dumb.
But do you think...
And so if you notice on LinkedIn, a lot of times I will comment on what Virtual Paul says as me.
That's funny.
And on Instagram, my youngest daughter actually has commented a couple of times, you're not my dad. And we're having fun with that. But yeah, my programmer who has a degree in computer science from the University of California, who's absolutely brilliant, he hasn't been keeping up to date with all this stuff. He's keeping up with programming. So I come to go, let's connect this to this so that we can do this. And the Virtual Paul infrastructure is literally, there are like 8 or 9 different platforms that we've connected to make that whole thing work.
Yeah.
But for Virtual Paul, I literally go in and I say in audio, in Slack, I say something like, I'm trying to think what was recent. Asking if your podcast should be on YouTube is like asking if your book should be in bookstores. I'll say something like that.
Yeah.
And then Virtual Paul will write the blog post and we'll figure out the hashtags and we'll figure out the title with keywords. And then we'll do the virtual version of me. Then we'll write the blog post. Then we'll write a different blog post for LinkedIn that'll go to other places. And then we'll create the Virtual Paul video of me talking. And then Virtual Paul will actually, there'll be the transcripts at the bottom. That's also AI. There'll be B-roll. That's AI. All these things connected to each other. Because the thing is, what if I could just say a sentence and I got a whole social footprint based on that sentence?
And then Virtual Paul is in later or somewhere else that's already scheduled and it just goes out and already goes on your social media. So all you're doing is typing in the sentence and then you have social media posts that are going everywhere.
Speaking the sentence. One of the things I wanted for Virtual Paul was I could do I'm going on a walk.
Wow. Yeah. Do you like speaking better than talking? You feel like it's easier to do?
Just in this particular case, yeah.
Yeah. Like, because you get your thoughts, it's probably easier than just stopping and typing. You can just have more of a rant and it gets your voice and your cadence and your tone.
Yeah, on messages on the phone, I'm always using Siri to type my stuff. My kid, you can also type it. You can also type it. Like, you're faster typing. Getting old, the eyes are going away. Like, it can hear me fine enough.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. What about content marketing and putting more marketing out there? Where do you think the sweet spot is? How many times should we be posting? How often? Because like I had a realtor that said, oh, I wouldn't want to send more than one email out a week. And I wouldn't want to post on my social more than once or twice a week. Like that would just be too much. So I'm like, really? So tell people, like, how often do you think they should be posting if they have capabilities, time, and bandwidth?
9 times out of 10 more than they're posting right now.
Yeah.
Which is why we got the whole Virtual Paul thing going on.
Yeah.
So I'm in Portland, Oregon. And Portland has, and it's funny, I haven't been down since COVID, so I wonder if we still have these, but we used to have these water fountains. We have so much water in Oregon that we have these water fountains that were just constantly flowing water. Like you didn't have to push the button. You just went in, drank the water, got back out again. And that's what social media is. Like if you publish something, they're not on social media in the next 10 minutes, they're not going to see it anyway.
True.
And so you just got to play the game. And if you're publishing too much, if you're spending too much time creating and if you're publishing too much, those are 2 different things.
Mm-hmm.
Those are 2 entirely different things. But you got to be there. You got to be there. you've done some stuff with publishing. There's this company called Amazon. I don't know if you've heard
Yep.
of them. I realized something about Amazon. About 10 years ago, the logic was, and this was proven, that if somebody wanted to buy something, they would research online 10 times in their review. And so there's a business book that I hear about. So I'll go to Google, I'll search the business book, and I'll read 10 different articles about the business book. What do they all have in common?
They're all about the book.
Right? What else?
They're
They
all
all have a link
reviews.
to Amazon. They
They're all.
all have a link to Amazon.
Oh, that's true.
And
That's true.
Amazon doesn't care which link it's coming from.
Yeah.
So that first question you asked me, should we be everywhere? Yes. And so publish everywhere. Don't know where they're coming from. Now, don't be lame. And there are people who will publish on Instagram to tell them to follow them on Facebook so they can see what they're doing on Threads that will post them back to LinkedIn. Don't send people on that trek. Publish to all the different platforms, wherever people are.
Yeah. And that's one of the benefits of having a book is that Amazon's SEO now works for you everywhere. And it's free.
Yeah. And even if they don't buy the freaking book, you're still an author. You're still cool. And so just the fact that you're at Amazon, is the thing that people look at. They buy the book, that's a win, but even just being there. There's an old joke that in the training world, that if you were okay with 25% returns, you could just ship blank tapes. And it's that way with Amazon. Just you're at Amazon, people can take you seriously.
Yeah.
It was really funny. I'm sure you've chatted about this. A lot of people no longer have budget for like speakers.
Really?
But they have budget for training.
Ah.
And so a lot of times people will say, instead of my $5,000 speaking fee, buy 500 copies of my book for the audience at $10 a book.
Yeah, we teach that too. Yeah, incorporate those books, either just books if you can't get a speaking fee, or incorporate it plus your speaking fee, or
yeah, totally. And a lot of times it's just all they'll do is the budget. Here's the funny thing. I got an email from somebody. So my rule is I will do most podcasts and I will do speaking gigs in Portland to test out my stuff.
Yeah.
You're a testing ground for me. And I got an email from a buddy of mine here in town who was speaking on YouTube, and it was right when my YouTube book was really popular.
Mm-hmm.
And he said, I'm speaking on YouTube and I'm buying everybody in the room a copy of your book.
Nice.
And I thought, he's probably wanting to get like the galley copies for cheaper or whatnot. I'm like, yeah, how many do you need? I'll get them for you. No, we just ordered them from Amazon.
Awesome.
Like, how many people in the audience? 500. I got I didn't even have to go do the presentation. And it's funny, I would have.
Yeah.
But even better. And yeah, and the thing is, if a speaker speaks, the only thing better than somebody else's book on the topic is your book on the topic. But so I got a nice little paycheck that night and I never left my home.
Wow.
Kind of fun.
Isn't that nice? That's the beauty of being a book, right? Once you have that content, it works for you forever. Over and over again. Paul, I could go on and on. I have probably 20 more questions, but I know we're out of time and I'm going to squeeze you into another podcast. So if you want to hear more from Paul, catch him at the Elite Publishing Podcast, because we're going to talk about books and more about marketing there. So that podcast as well, because he is just a wealth of information. I feel really lucky to have him on the podcast today. Again, he was one of our mentors that helped us start our publishing company and our podcast that we've been in years now.
Me, huh?
So, and if you're looking,
you're going to blame
what's that?
Me, huh?
Yeah, it's all your fault for sure. The podcasting, 100%. And I'll tell you, I'm going to tell you real quick. One of our first series of podcasts, I called a PR agency to get guests. They didn't know what a podcast was, so I had to explain it to them. They got me a guest who had a book with a different publishing company. They did a lot of things wrong. We gave her some coaching in the green room. And then she referred an author to us who hired us. And we did a great job for her. And then that author came back on that first interview. And then she said, you did a good job with Brent. I'm going to hire you. And then we got 6 referrals from all of that, just all from the podcast. So that was worth probably a couple $100,000 just in the beginning. I know you're probably going to want me to write you a check, but I'm sorry. I'm not doing that. All right, y'all. Make sure you leave some comments. You subscribe to the podcast, share it with friends. And again, catch the other podcast. And if you're looking to write a book and becoming a best-selling author, reach out to us at eliteonlinepublishing.com. We'll catch you next time. Hey, are you looking to increase your revenue, build credibility, and elevate your brand? This podcast is brought to you by Elite Online Publishing, an innovative publishing and full spectrum marketing company. They will publish and market your book to make it a #1 bestseller. Becoming an author is the best way to market your business. So contact them at eliteonlinepublishing.com today. All of their authors become #1 bestsellers.